Checking in now with One America's Matt Shuck once again, who is live in Baltimore. Hello again, Matt. Tell us what you're seeing just ahead of tomorrow's police report. What's the atmosphere like?
And the air around Baltimore is very different than what was happening on Monday and Tuesday. And with me is a local ministry leader, Tiba Aldridge. Tiba, what's different between the Baltimore today and the Baltimore that we saw on Monday and Tuesday?
Well, I'm glad that you asked. One thing that's very different is on Monday, we had young people out rioting. We had young people out that was doing things just to make a name for themselves. So it was basically today you're seeing more peaceful protests. These are not rioters. These are not people. I even heard that our mayor was calling them, and the president of the United States was calling these people thugs. These are not thugs. These are young brothers and sisters that are just at this point misguided, misled. I don't have a judgment zone. I don't pick and choose. It's not a white thing. It's not a black thing. It's a people's thing. And I think that right now what we need to do is we need to live by the amendments of and implement what it says in 1 Corinthians 13, as it say about love. I'm here to love. I love you, man. I
love you too. Back to you in the studio.
I do want to ask him, Matt, and I understand he's a ministry leader and he's preaching a message of love and peace, but I do have to ask, when he says that the actions of these youth aren't thugs, these protesters, how would you describe the looting, the violence against officers and what we've been seeing in the streets?
How would you describe the looting and everything that happened on Monday and Tuesday?
Well, the way that I would describe it is, honestly, it was sad, disheartening, lost for words. It was honestly, again, as I said, I'm a Baltimorean. I've been here for 30 plus years, and just to see that, it's not something I just seen on television. I have to be honest. I was there to witness, to see the looting, to see cars burning, to see young people being used as pawns by adults to break into hair stores and bars and everything like that. So it was very sad. And I mean, lost for words. That's the best thing I could say.
Do you think Baltimore can remain peaceful when the autopsy and police report are released?
I'll be honest with you, that's something that we will have to turn over to God and see how God will play this out. Of course, right now, we do have people like myself that want to remain peaceful regardless, whichever way the verdict comes out, whichever way they say about the officers, whatever Stephanie Rawlins-Blake, mayor, is saying, Commissioner Babs is saying. One thing that we want to do is we want to remain peaceful, but again, I know that I'll remain peaceful. I can speak for Tiba, and I can speak for my family. We'll remain peaceful, and we'll just keep praying, fasting, and giving it over to God.
Thank you very much. Back to you in the studio.
Thank him for his message of peace for us, and we hope to see more of that soon. Thank you, Matt. We'll check in with you soon. And for those of you still with us, the House committee investigating the Benghazi terrorist attacks. We're going to talk about Benghazi now. They are receiving 4,000 pages of new documents from the State Department. This is according to congressional sources who say the documents include emails, internal memos, and interview summaries. The new information was not reviewed by the other half-dozen committees that investigated the 2012 attacks. The committee has been seeking these documents since it was created by House Speaker John Boehner last May. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm CASSIE LEUFFEN. We begin in Philadelphia. Protests in the city of brotherly love as hundreds of Philadelphia residents take to the streets in solidarity with the demonstrators in Baltimore. They gathered outside City Hall calling for reforms in the criminal justice system. Using the hashtag #PhillyIsBaltimore, protesters organized marches, shutting down major streets in the process. Demonstrators have remained peaceful, only clashing with police when they were told they couldn't march across a busy freeway on-ramp. Meantime, Baltimore police have completed their report on the investigation into the death of Freddie Gray, and they have turned it over now to prosecutors. Authorities didn't offer any details on the report, only stating that the department dedicated more than 30 detectives to working on the case. But what we do know is that police discovered a new stop made by the van Gray was traveling in, but they didn't elaborate on what happened during that stop. David Martin has the latest on the investigation. Meantime, Baltimore police say nearly 100 officers have been injured in the line of duty since these citywide riots broke out on Monday. Baltimore's police captain says at least 40 of those officers required treatment at local hospitals. And as we've seen, protesters have been throwing bricks and bottles at law enforcement while they were trying to contain the crowds filling the streets. But police say they're better prepared now to keep the city safe.
So in the event something pops up somewhere, we're able to quickly shift resources to address it. Again, with safety being our top priority for both our officers, our citizens, and the city.
Over 200 people were arrested during the riots, over half of them released without charges filed against them. However, officers say they're reviewing surveillance footage and expect to charge suspects once they can confirm their identities. And while we're on this, we want to check in now with One America's Matt Shuck, who is live in downtown Baltimore. Matt, how is it looking as we are getting closer once again to tonight's 10 p.m. curfew?
Well, we're just a little bit less than an hour away from the curfew that's going to remain intact for the remainder of the week. We still have a few demonstrators that look like just a few minutes ago they cleared out and they were standing out front of here. It remains from a protest that was happening earlier. I'm currently standing with Jeremy Robinson. He's a Baltimore resident. Jeremy, what brings you down here tonight?
I just want to support my city, see my city do good things, and just show the people that it's more than just these riots. It's just a cry from people for things that have been happening for a long time now, and I understand, but we got to do it the right way.
Do you think there was a disconnect between Baltimore residents and the Baltimore City Police Department before Freddie Gray's death?
Of course.
Thank you. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Matt, I do have a question for Jeremy there. I'm curious what he hopes the outcome will be. And this, of course, is pending the results of the autopsy investigation into Freddie Gray's death. But what does he hope the outcome will be here? What does he want to see happen to the cops? Should they be indicted?
What do you want to see with the indictment with the cops tomorrow? What do you want to see as the result?
I just want to see, I just want to see them do right. Whatever that means, do right. As long as the people are happy, then everybody will be happy.
We thank you for that reporting, and we will be checking in with you throughout the night. Thank you. And for those of you watching at home, we move on here to this. House Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi also weighing in on the situation. She says that change is needed when it comes to police policies and the criminal justice system. The recent news hit home for Pelosi, who herself grew up in Baltimore after her father was elected mayor in 1947. Her brother Thomas also served as the city's mayor and was head of the city when the riots broke out following the death of Martin Luther King Jr. in the late 60s.
And this is not anywhere near what that was in 1968 following the assassination of Martin Luther King. But nonetheless, some of the same symptoms are there that cause some of the unease.
Pelosi suggested the use of body cameras and better training for law enforcement. The California lawmaker says Democrats are doing what they can to find a legislative solution to what she calls a growing problem. Some big news for defense spending tonight. The House Armed Services Committee passing a nearly $612 billion defense policy bill. The measure seeks changes to military retirement benefits and challenges President Obama's effort to shut down the Guantanamo Bay detention camp. The changes would allow troops to receive at least some retirement pay, even if they don't stay for 20 years, which is the minimum length of service required to receive a pension. It also reauthorizes a ban on transferring Gitmo detainees to the United States. The legislation passed with a vote of 60-2 and will be taken up by the full House next month.